Today we're going to talk about some of the cheapest ways to get a 2000 point force of Space Marines on the table and ready for battle. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy focused 40k channel, where we're all about getting the most out of our miniatures on the tabletop. Although today we're very much about getting the most miniatures on the table for the lowest amount of money possible. So Space Marines are very much the iconic army of Warhammer 40k, and with some of the various discount bundles that Games Workshop offers, they can also be one of the cheaper factions to play point for point. In this video we're going to talk about one of the cheapest ways that you can possibly get Space Marine bodies on the table, and hopefully give you some ideas for getting a Space Marine collection off the ground, and up to having some fairly big games relatively quickly. Now I will say that when buying 40k I do generally recommend buying in small chunks and painting them up, rather than putting down a whole load of money on a 2000 point army all at once, as that gives you a bit of a higher chance of regretting it later. I think it is still fun to theorise though, so let's look at some of the cheapest ways that we can get Space Marines on the table point for point in the game. So for me, one of the best ways that Games Workshop sells Space Marines in 40k at the moment is the excellent Know No Fear box set. Basically they have a couple of starter sets. Dark Imperium is the big one, the one that has the big rulebook, the Primaris Ancient and two fairly big armies of Death Guard and Space Marines. Know No Fear is the slightly smaller one. You don't get the big rulebook, but it's almost half the price, and you do still get pretty much all the standard squads that you'd get in Dark Imperium. Compared with other things that Games Workshop sells, this one really stands out as pretty much easily the best deal that they ever give you. The box set is £50 or $85, and you can get it for even less if you use a discount retailer such as ones available in the UK. I do have a link down to Element Games in the UK for their 10 to 20% off 40k models if anyone's interested. If you click on that and buy stuff, then it does support the channel. If you do go via Games Workshop though, then it's £50 or $85, and you get all the Marines that are pictured here, 3 Inceptors, 5 Howlblasters, 5 Intercessors, and a Gravis Captain. It equates to around about 485 points of Marines, though that might have gone down a little bit as I believe the Inceptors dropped in points in a recent chapter approved. Now £50 for that many points really isn't a bad deal at all by Games Workshop standards. It's quite rare that you get better than that. But the best thing about this kit is that you don't just get the Space Marines, you also get a pretty equivalent set of Death Guard as well, with their Bloat Drone, Plague Marines, Lord of Contagion, and their 10 Poxwalkers. This is great if you just want some bad guys for your Space Marines to go up against, and frankly this is one of the few box sets that absolutely does give you a good deal even if you keep the extra models. But of course you don't have to keep the extra models, and you could potentially split the box with someone who collects Death Guard, or if there's no one who wants to in your local area, you could just potentially sell them online via eBay or something, or post them in local Facebook groups, where I'm sure you'd get some sort of takers. I have sold the other half of this a couple of times already, and in my experience you tend to get around about £20, or just over $30 for the Death Guard in the set, making the set just ridiculously even better value than before. If you want to get lots of Marines on the board for very cheap, then this is one of the best options in my opinion, and I quite like that you actually get a pretty decent mix of units in terms of diversity as well. Some powerful shooting in the Hellblasters, some standard line infantry, and the fast moving Inceptors. Coming in just a little bit more expensive than this, at £60 or $95, is the excellent Vanguard Space Marines Start Collecting set, and this is the one that has the majority of miniatures from the Shadow Spear set. In this box you get a Phobos Lieutenant, a set of Eliminators, Suppressors, and Infiltrators. Again, like the Know No Fear set, they are all monopose models, so you don't get the options of different gear if any of the models have them. But again, compared with Games Workshop's other products, it's a really decent deal in terms of amounts of points on the tabletop per pound that you spend. There's around about 470 points worth of models in here, so pretty equivalent to Know No Fear, but it does give you some nice unit diversity, filling out a bunch of different battlefield roles for your Marine army. From there there's various other options that can give you decent deals in the Space Marine army. I'll be honest, I haven't looked through every single one and worked out the pounds per point ratio, but a few options certainly stand out, such as the Easy Build Redemptor for example. This guy is £25 for a monopose Redemptor, who'll cost around about 157 points in game, so it can be another fairly cheap way to get a whole chunk of points into your Space Marine army for not so much for an investment in terms of money. There's certainly plenty of other options. Another interesting one that actually gets you a lot of points towards a Space Marine army for not much cash is Rabute Gilliman himself, the Primarch. He costs about £37, and in game he's 350 points, so really a similar sort of ratio to Know No Fear and the Vanguard sets. Various other special characters are quite similar for this, such as Pedro Cantor being quite a lot of points but not much money, so some of the characters can be pretty reasonable pickups even from a value point of view. Putting this all together, I feel that one of the cheapest functional Marine army lists that you can build is one that takes 3 boxes of the Know No Fear set and combines it with a box of the Vanguard Space Marines, giving you a 2000 point army if you throw in a Redemptor Dreadnought in there, although you do have to lose a few Infiltrators. Overall, if you just bought this directly from Games Workshop at no discount whatsoever, it has cost you £235 or $390, and if you did buy it from a discounter such as Element Games, you'd save about 15% on that already pretty decent number. Then you can also resell those Death Guard if you're able to, and getting around about 20 for each set, that has put you at around about 175 for a full 2000 point Primaris Space Marine army, or around about $300 if you're in the USA. I'm well aware that it's certainly not the most optimal list competitive-wise, but to be honest, chasing all of the most optimised gear is always going to be more expensive than just getting a bunch of miniatures on the table, and in all honesty, it is still fairly functional on the table. You do have units to cover a variety of battlefield roles, and there's certainly an advantage to having plenty of power armour on the table. Your opponent just might struggle to get through all of those 2-wound models. If I were to go about improving this, I'd probably think about trading out those Gravis Captains for other character models, and maybe adding some serious long-range anti-tank fire support such as a Repulsor Executioner or something. So they could be very easily things that you could swap out instead of one of the no fear boxes, for example. I know that Warhammer's a fairly expensive hobby, and it still looks like quite a lot, 235 points for an army of model soldiers, but honestly between all the amount of time of getting these together and painting them, it will give you quite a lot of entertainment, and then at the end of the process you do get an army that's usable from then on in games of Warhammer, and you can only add more to it as and when if you feel like it. So that's very much my attempt at the cheapest Space Marine army list for 2000 points that you can get in today's 8th edition Warhammer 40k. I'd be interested if anyone can try and improve upon this. Like I said, I haven't analysed every single unit in the Space Marine Codex to see exactly how many points per pound you get, so there might easily be something more efficient than an easy build Redemptor Dreadnought. If you can see anything, then please let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested to see what people can come up with. I'm hoping to do a similar breakdown for some of the other cheapest armies in Warhammer 40k in the coming weeks, so if you'd like to see more like this, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. We have regular 40k stuff coming out every single day. Finally, if you'd like to help support the channel and keep these videos coming, I'd just like to mention that Element Games affiliate link down in the video description again. Basically, if you live in the UK, they sell any of Games Workshop's 40k products at a decent discount, somewhere between 10 and 15% off normally. If you were thinking about buying some Warhammer anyway, then I'd certainly consider them, as they're a very decent seller. They've always got my orders to me reliably, and have good customer service. If you do click the link in the video description before going to their store, a little bit of the money goes towards Auspex Tactics as well, without costing you any more, so it can be a nice way to support the channel if you were buying some models in the near future anyway. For those of you in the US, I have added some Amazon affiliate links as well, which operate under the same sort of thing, except buying via Amazon as opposed to an individual retailer. Again, if you click the link before ordering some models, then some of the money goes to Auspex Tactics, and Amazon doesn't charge you any more. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next episode.